All right, welcome to On the Bench with Big Jim, and good to have you all here. It was kind of interesting on Wednesday, trying to get the trying to get Facebook to work. How you doing, Armani? Good to see you. Good morning, Dwayne. Good to see you here. Appreciate you all being with me. It's going to be a fun day today. Yes, Facebook seemed to be out of sorts. Yes, Wednesday, and it's good to be seen. It's good to be back visiting with you. I have, I think, some pretty good guests today. I'm excited about the guests that I'm going to be speaking with today, and I hope you're able to enjoy it as much as I'm looking forward to having them in. First off, I want to give kudos to Coach Jose Tanguma, who after day one, the team was in 12th place. Big Bend Community College wrestling team was in 12th place. 7 guys still in the tournament. And they've already been wrestling this morning, and I'm afraid to say that some of the guys have been knocked out of the tournament. But this is a national tournament, and hey, cream always rises to the top. And as you continue to go on session to session, the best guys move on. Most of the time, the best guys move on to the next session. And good morning, David. Top of the morning to you as well. We have also I want to give kudos to the Big Bend Community College women's basketball team, as tomorrow they play in their semifinal game against Umpqua, and that game can be seen on the NWAC website. They'll be streaming that game, and their game starts at 1 p.m. The other semifinal game will be Lane versus Wenatchee Valley. And so it's interesting again that the East, the NWAC East, seems to be one of the stronger leagues, as 2 of the top 4 in the whole NWAC are from the East region, and that just tells you how tough our ladies are. Jeremy, that's a tough question. I don't think that it stacks up to the JUCO Nationals, just because it's in its infancy. These programs are, a lot of people call them club programs. In the case of Big Bend, it's a varsity. I believe it's a varsity sport. A lot of people call it a club sport, and that's. I mean, I think in calling it a club sport, it's demeaning, and I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but it's another opportunity for kids to wrestle, and in an affordable way for the university. And that's, if it weren't for that, there would be no wrestling at Big Bend Community College, and so there would be no opportunity for kids like these 11 that qualified for nationals. They wouldn't have that opportunity. There would be no opportunity at all. And so, is it better to have no opportunity, or to have the NWCA? I argue that any opportunity to be able to wrestle. Now, the argument that people have is that program, or is that division, is that organization going to be the demise of junior college wrestling here in the Northwest? I honestly don't believe you can blame it on the organization. I think you have to look at the heart of the ADs that are looking at the costs and in some cases they don't understand wrestling. They don't care for it, and so it comes down to who's in charge and what sports they like. And typically it's basketball. If there's no football involved, it's usually a basketball type of a game, and it's in a way it's kind of sad. But thanks for that question, and hopefully just checking to see who's here. Excuse me. I'm gonna check to see if my first guest is available. All right. I agree with that. Title IX did kill a lot of college programs. I am the proof of that, twice actually. I finished my senior year of football and wrestled my junior year, and they dropped wrestling, and that allowed me to transfer to Brigham Young University, where I finished my wrestling eligibility. And Idaho State dropped wrestling because of Title IX, because of the quality, needing to have the same amount of scholarships available to women that were available to men. And at the time, men's tennis and men's wrestling were both cut. And so I know we're a little bit early. But I was going to wait until 9:30, but and talk about different things. But I'm going to go ahead and start the show because we have a guest, a very special guest, because he's a Washington kid, and he's been on the big stage. Where did you go, bud? You were just there a second ago. You were just there a second ago. Good morning, Willie. How are you doing? Good to see you. But my first guest is Jordan Rogers. And Jordan grew up in Washington, grew up in Spokane, wrestled for Meade, the Meade Panthers. And we know Jordan well. He, his freshman year, wrestled in the finals of State 4A against Moses Lake's own Nico Moreno. And But I've been talking with Jordan because we have some exciting news. That would be exciting for all of the wrestlers here in Moses Lake. But anyway, let's see. Okay, I'll try. Alrighty. This technology, we didn't have this technology at all on Wednesday. So I appreciate the fact that I'm actually having a show right now, and I appreciate all of you guys looking in. But we're going to be visiting with Jordan Rogers here in a minute. Like I said, he wrestled at Meade, and then his brother was a couple years older than him. Got a wrestling scholarship to Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And the family was back in Oklahoma supporting Jordan and watching him wrestle, and they decided to move back there. And so Jordan, there he is, ended up moving his senior year and wrestling for Stillwater High School in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And he ended up being a state champion for them as well. And then he went on to wrestle at Oklahoma State. And this being his senior year, and his quite an interesting story. And I wanted to be able to share that story with all of you. And so here he is, Mr. Jordan Rogers, Chandler Rogers.
It's all right. It's all right.
Jordan. We're just talking about Jordan and why you guys ended up in Stillwater. But Chandler, how are you doing this morning?
Doing great. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on and being with us today.
Yeah.
So
I'm parked in the Starbucks parking lot, stealing their Wi-Fi because I'm broke.
Hey, you're a college kid, but
in college and married.
That's right. So and you're about done, right? You're about to graduate.
Yeah, I graduate in May. I need 4 more hours of school, so I'm taking an online class and 2 weekend courses here in the next couple weeks. It starts.
Awesome.
And so
that's terrific. Yeah. It's good to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah. So
okay, so what I wanted to share with people, some of my listeners, they're wrestling fans because they're here in Moses Lake or they watch me, but they don't know your whole story. So I want to start right at the beginning. When did you first? What's your first memory of being on the mat?
My first memory of being on the mat would be probably when I started, when I was 4 years old. And the thing I remember the most was I thought, man, this will be fun. Jordan and I will just go out and kind of mess with each other and beat each other up. And I mean, that's what we were doing already. And so I was like, well, this is just another day in the office. And then I remember I got paired up with somebody that wasn't Jordan, and I was like, this is kind of weird. I mean, usually I know Jordan. I know how to, like, press his buttons and make him mad, and then it's like, it's go time. And so then I have this new opponent, and I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And this kid just put the torque to me, and I did not like it. And and my dad, he said, once you start something, you're not going to quit it. And so once I started, I had to go through it for a season, and I ended up loving it. It was super fun. And then we just kind of just got into it, and it was we treated it like it was a religion. It was something we did every day. And then
and where was that? Was that
that was in my dad was going to a gym, and he saw a little ad on this billboard in Clarkston, Washington, and it said Gator Wrestling, and the guy, the head coach, his name was Gator, and we just kind of went and checked it out. My dad was like, my mom was pregnant with my little sister, my sister was actually 2 years old at the time. She was just little and going nuts, and so she's like, I can't deal with these two boys killing each other and trying to take care of a 2-year-old at the same time. I need these kids out of the house. You better find something. And so we tried karate, but we just weren't focused enough to do that. I have ADD off the walls, and so they're just it's like herding cats trying to get me into the line and stuff. And so that was fun, but my dad's like, all right, let's try something else. And so he sees Gator Wrestling, throws us in it, and off we went. And Gator Wrestling, and then it turned into reptile wrestling, Snake River Reptiles, and then it's kind of evolved from there ever since. So.
That's a cool story. So now you were born in Lewiston, correct?
Yep, born in Lewiston.
And And your did your dad wrestle, or did he
No,
he just saw that
nobody's.
Gator sign, Gator
Yeah,
wrestling sign?
nobody's. My dad never wrestled a day in his life. And if you had talked to him, you would have thought that this dude had wrestled his whole life. He had
Right.
been so wrapped up in it, and he knew all the technique and all that stuff. But he just he devoted his life to really just study the sport once we got into it. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah,
So when did you guys move up to Spokane?
we moved to Spokane when I was in fourth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember it was kind of weird because it was like once again I knew every kid in my drill, like my practice room, and so then I get thrown
Because
into
you'd
a
been
whole nother
wrestling.
bunch. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and so then I get thrown
But
into a whole nother bunch at Meade High School, and so it was cool.
you probably knew some of the kids having wrestled them
I
around
actually,
the. Oh, do you guys didn't do many tournaments and stuff like that? Oh,
well,
really?
the thing is that we would go to Tulsa Nationals, and we'd go to Reno Worlds, and we'd go to the Oregon Classic, all those tournaments. And I mean, honestly, I never looked at my bracket until about a year ago, and so I really never really paid attention to names. So I probably would have wrestled a few of them along the road, but when I got there, I didn't really know if I was or not, and so
And so you got
yeah,
into the Mead Club when you were
yep,
in fourth grade. And how many years older is Jordan?
2 years.
2 years. So when he was a junior, your freshman year.
Yep.
Yeah. So did you see it coming from the Gator wrestling to the Snake River reptiles or whatever?
Yeah, the snake or reptiles.
Did you see the progression into the Mead program?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a different. It was each team brought a different aspect, and that's been it's cool because like each team has a different philosophy, and so as I grew up, I grew up in the Snake River Reptiles, knowing I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna tear this dude apart. Like just kind of learned how to get that grit and that ferociousness and stuff like that. But one thing that I really learned actually the best from Meade High School was I learned how to lose. And because when I would lose in fourth grade, I mean when I was in Clarkson, it was like I thought I had to throw something. I would throw chairs, I'd punch walls, I would scream, and I would cry. I hated it. And my coach from Meade High School taught me, Phil McLean. He was like, "Hey, it's just a game. This is wrestling. It's a sport. It's entertainment. You don't have to worry about it. There's a new day tomorrow. Just go out and have fun and go cut loose." And so he taught me just to kind of go out and have fun. And when you do that, I mean, my potential just grew a ton because I was having fun doing it. I wasn't afraid to lose. I wasn't afraid of anything. And so they kind of got that fear of losing out of me. And the fear of going out and getting taken down. I didn't care if I gave up 3 takedowns. I thought I was still in the match, and so uh, it was kind of a cool aspect that they brought to my game.
And now that you bring that up, it really was a part of something that happened to you because you were down a couple takedowns in the finals against Nico Moreno your freshman year, and I hate to bring this up because it ended up bad for Nico.
Yeah,
Uh, and you guys had wrestled the week before in the regional finals, didn't you?
yeah, that son of a gun. He about ripped my leg off in a cradle. He stacked me hard. I pinned myself. I tried to pin myself because it hurt so bad.
So bad. But
Yeah,
but you ended up you were down a couple of points, and Nico, I was like trying to from the side. I was like, oh, don't shoot, don't shoot, and he shoots, and you throw him to his
yeah,
back, and you get the win for your first state championship.
yeah.
Congratulations, by the way. And
Thank
that's
you.
hey, those things happen, and like you said, it's a game.
Yeah,
You can live with whatever happens, and tomorrow's going to be another day.
exactly.
So um, you're a sophomore. Jordan's a senior. He gets recruited by Oklahoma State, and you're thinking, dude, I've wrestled with this guy my entire life. What's what was going through your head that you're going to lose your brother? Not lose him, but he's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be there. He's going to be in college. What kind? Did you have some reservations about? Uh, you're now a two-time state champion,
Mm-hmm.
and he's finishing. He finished and graduates high school and goes on off to college. What was going through your mind?
I really was worried that I would go backwards. I thought I would get worse, and I didn't know what would happen after that. But Coach McLean did a great job of continuing to keep the level high in the room. I mean, there was guys. I mean, if I remember there was times where we'd put like 4 guys on Jordan, and all 4 of us would be walking away like holding our shoulders because I was one of the guys that would have to go on Jordan, and Jordan just kicked the snot out of all of us. And we'd all walk away bumped and bruised, and Jordan's just prancing around like it was nothing. And
I can imagine.
and so then I kind of got that same treatment where it was like, all right, I'm going to throw a bunch of guys on you. I'm going to try and make you as tired and as possible and make you uncomfortable. And he did a great job of that. But yeah, it was kind of like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, Jordan's gone. He was kind of like my drill partner and the guy that pushed me. And so I think it allowed me to almost like be the man. And then at the same time, like when Jordan would come home from visits, I mean, I thought Jordan was the best already. And then he came home from visits and he just really humbled me. It was insane. And he would teach me so much stuff, and we come back. I mean, he would come back and we'd be in the wrestling room from 9 a.m. until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just going over all the technique that he's been learning at Oklahoma State, just so that his knowledge is now into me and so that I can practice it while he's gone. And so I was kind of already getting ready to transfer or like to transition into college as a sophomore. And so, but we would FaceTime and talk all the time, and it was great. But yeah, it allowed me to almost assume a leadership role or to try and work towards that, because I never really thought of myself as a leader, because I was like, well, I don't need to lead. Jordan's doing it. He's Superman. I'm kind of like the sidekick. And so that's kind of like the role that I assumed. And then now Jordan's gone and the team needed some leaders, and we already had leaders like Tyler McLean and other guys too, but I could possibly be one of them. And so I had to work at being a leader and to do those things.
Now, that brought you to my next question was, did you feel like once he left, you had to fill his shoes?
No, I always thought that I was going to be better than Jordan. At some point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to beat this sucker one day. I don't care if he's on his deathbed. I'll pin him on his deathbed, and I'll know that I can beat him. But I knew that one day I was going to pass him up, and the reason why I knew that was because he told me I would almost every day. And when I would get lucky and he would slip on some sweat and I'd take him down or something, he made sure that it wouldn't happen again unless I really earned it. And so
he wasn't giving you anything.
No. There was nothing given there.
Given.
And so, but yeah, it was kind of, I kind of wanted to fill his shoes, but then again, I had an opportunity to be a 4-time state champion. And Jordan, his appendix erupted 2 days before state, crazy. His sophomore year. And so it's just like, and so he was only a 3-timer. And so I was wanting to go do something that Jordan wasn't able to do. And so
try to get that one thing on him.
Yeah,
you held
exactly.
Over some stuff. That's always the little brother wanting to be able to get something over his big brother type of deal.
Oh yeah.
Now I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about Phil McLean and tell us how much of you is stuff you've learned from him.
I think technique and stuff like that. There's quite a bit that I learned from Phil McLean, but the thing that really you know, you can have all the technique in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset, you're not a great wrestler. You're not going to be a good wrestler if you have a bad attitude and a bad mindset. And it was like it was actually just recently when I got beat for the wrestle off. Coach Smith.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and John Smith pulls me aside afterwards, and I'm upset. I'm mad, I'm kind of like all over the place. And the one thing he told me, and it was so awesome, it was because it's the same thing that Coach McLean told me. And it was, you know, Chandler, the thing I like about you is you'll go out and you'll wrestle anybody. You don't care if they're 200 pounds bigger than you or even if they're smaller than you. You'll just go out and and he said the word grub. And what was funny is because Phil McLean, he always called me his number one grub. And it's because he knew that if I just threw him out, if he just threw me out there, I would just go get after it. And you know, that attitude, I carried that through all of my career. Ever since he instilled that in me, it was go out, have fun, and see what happens. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I went to the U23 world team qualifiers, and I got in late. I wrestled. I had 2 practices before the Greco tournament. I wrestled both styles. Had 2 practices before the Greco tournament. I got to the tournament at 3 o'clock in the morning. I flew in at 3 o'clock in the morning and then weighed in at 6 a.m. And I had to cut 3 pounds somewhere in that period of time.
Oh, wow.
I had about maybe 2 hours of sleep. And I didn't care what the circumstances were. I didn't care that I only had 3 hours of sleep. I'll take a nap before my match. I'll be fine. And I kind of had to take on that attitude of I don't really care what happens. I'm just going to go out and have fun and mix it up. And I ended up taking 3rd in Greco, and then I didn't want to cut weight to go down to the weight class below. So then I was like, whatever, I'll just bump up to 86 kilos. And Miles Martin's out here. Miles Martin's out there all bundled up, running his tail off, and I'm sitting there eating 2 sub sandwiches, trying to get up to weight. And once again, I took on that attitude, like, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to have fun. I don't care what I place, and we'll just see what happens. I'm just going to mix it up. And I went out and I took 2nd at the U23, and I ended up throwing Miles Martin on his head. And it just that was just satisfying in itself. I didn't really care what happened after that, obviously, because he just beat the tar out of me. But, you know, I just went out and mixed it up. And when you go do that, when you go wrestle without fear and you go compete, I mean, any sport, you go compete without fear. Fear is crippling. And I think Coach McLean knew that. He knew that fear is really crippling, and he taught me that, you know what, you don't have to be afraid of losing. You don't have to be afraid of, like, you can go win anything. You can go win all that you want, but, I mean, ultimately, I'm going to be proud of you no matter what, as long as you go out and you give effort.
Give it effort, yeah. And that's something that you can control. You can control your effort. Sometimes you can't control your opponent because of the way they wrestle and all that kind of. You can't control maybe a flight that gets you in at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But you can control your attitude and the effort that you put out in a match. That's Absolutely. A great story and a great tribute to Coach McLean.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about your first state title here in the state of Washington, and what were you? I want to. Do you remember that match?
I do. I honestly, the only thing I remember is I really don't remember the whole match. I only remember the last bit because it felt great.
Yeah.
And not to put salt in the wound, but it felt great.
Well, sure it did. And I, you know, I'm happy that Nico was able to come back in the next year. He did get a state title. You guys were at different weights and didn't have to wrestle each other. But he, you know, because he got through that and ended up, you know, getting the title for himself. But when you have that attitude of, hey, I'm still in this match, those kind of things happen, and you're able to take advantage of it. And do you think having that first title as a freshman gave you the confidence for you to, repeat 2 and then 3 and then move to Oklahoma and get
Hmm.
one there. So that's my question is,
How big
first
was
off,
that match?
yeah, what was it a kind of a confidence builder that set you up for the rest of your
Oh
high school
yeah,
career?
I would definitely say it was a confidence builder because I losing to Nico the weekend before at regionals, and then going to Tri-State and getting my butt kicked by another
Vela.
guy. I don't know what his
Vela.
name is.
It was Vela.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Vela. And just get my butt kicked by guys all year long, and I'm just like, man, I really don't like. I don't know if I'm as good as Jordan, and I'm comparing myself and stuff like that. And then when I pinned Nico and I won a state title, I kind of put that state title under my belt, and I was like, you know what? I'm the man now. Like I'm gonna go do this stuff,
Uh-huh.
but I'm gonna work even harder because that felt good. I want to do that again, and I want to do it again. I want to do it again, and it was a great feeling. And so just being able to get that win under my belt and to allow that to be the driving force, not really setting my eyes on that state title and being like, look what I've done, but having it be a reminder of saying, look what I did, and that's motivation to go do it again and to go do it another time. And so it's good to have that under your belt because it feels good to win and it feels good to kind of be the man for a little bit.
Now,
So,
the thing about that, though, and I'm going to go back a little bit, even a little bit further, is the thing that I remember of the tri-state situation with Vela was that the story was that you were some schoolboy cadet, champion, and blah 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 blah. And I don't want to dismay
hmm
that at all because it's awesome. I want you to share everybody. What was your resume? How many schoolboy championships and other age level championships did you have? Do you remember?
man, it'd be harder for me to remember. I would say,
But you had gone to all those tournaments.
yeah, I went
Yeah.
undefeated at schoolboy duels in both styles, and then I won. I took second at folk style nationals as a kid, and then I'd won state multiple times. I mean, me and Ryan Christensen, we went back and
Hmm.
forth. Him, and Bobby Reese. We all just battled it out all year long. Every year, I just knew I was like, okay, one of these tournaments, I'm either gonna have Ryan Christensen or I'm gonna have Bobby Reese. One of these times, at least once. And so, yeah.
And for all of those of you that are listening, Ryan Christensen's actually qualified for nationals this year. He wrestles at
hmm
Wisconsin.
Yep.
And what's Bobby doing? Is he done?
I
Or
haven't really checked on Bobby.
but he was a stud in
He was
his
a
own right
stud. Oh
back in the
yeah.
day. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was a stud.
So
But
anyway, but it wasn't just high school that you were good. You had done the other styles, freestyle, Greco, and had done well on the national stage as well. But
hmm
really, the high school is when you win the high school state championship is when kind of that's your defining moment, right?
oh
Would
yeah.
you
I
say
mean,
that?
it it's all a part of the journey, you know. The amount of training that you put in for Greco and freestyle, I mean, you only have a couple months of that, or maybe a month of that before you go to Fargo. And then you go to Fargo, and if you win Fargo, it's great. But you're talking about months of practice, tournaments,
Yeah.
duels, weigh-ins, all those things, and then you go to the you go to the districts, you go to regionals, and then you go to state, and it's just like this. All right, this is the big show. This is where it all happens, and then when you do it, it's so much more sad. I personally thought it was more satisfying winning a state title than I did winning a national title.
That was my point. And
Yes.
because I don't know, maybe it's a little more personal. All of your family and all of your friends, because when you go to a national tournament, you obviously have a state team, but
Mhm.
really, your crew or whatever you want to call them from your wrestling room at home at the high school,
Mhm.
a lot of them aren't there. So
Yeah.
it's different, and to have
Yeah.
that state title with your team, that's a cool thing. Um,
Hmm.
my next question is, how did you share the bad news to Coach McLean and your teammates there at Meade that you were going to move?
Well, it was kind of news to me as well.
Oh,
We were kind of sitting there, and it was my mom and dad had been talking about moving, and I was like, well, that would suck. I wouldn't want to move. Like Stillwater looks like I've been to Stillwater. There's nothing to do, and you look
I
around, there's
know.
no mountains, and they're like, oh, we
Nothing.
got a river, and I'm like,
It's just flat.
this thing's 2 feet deep. This ain't a river, and you can't see the bottom, and so I was like dreading it. I was like, no way. And I was telling everybody, I was like, there's like a 5% chance we're moving to Stillwater.
Oh,
And then I saw my mom looking for houses, and then I was like, all right, guys, the numbers change. It's about a 50%. And then like about 2 weeks before we moved, it was 100%. We're going. And so I had 2 weeks to say goodbye to everybody and to
oh
pack
man.
everything. And it wasn't my parents' fault. It wasn't my mom's fault. She was looking for houses, and she didn't think that we could find anything, because it's like it's the first semester, and we're trying to find a house in Stillwater, and we got college kids. We're competing with college kids and stuff like that, and
Sure.
they're like, we'll rent the house, and my mom's like, we'll buy it. I mean, we'll do whatever you want. And so we're trying to just get a house, and we actually lived in a little college house for our first year in Stillwater, and it was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathroom, and it had a little bitty backyard. And my brother and I, we shared a bed, or we shared a bedroom, and my sister had her own bedroom, and my parents had their bedroom, and it was just this tiny little house. And but yeah, we had that, but I the way I went about it is I just kind of talked to the guys and let them know, like, hey, I'll stay in touch. And man, it was kind of hard to say goodbye, because I
Oh
it,
yeah.
it I get choked up now thinking about it, because I love Meade High School so much, and I loved all the coaches that were there and all my teammates, and I would love to go back I would love to go back and have one more season with them. But if I were to go back, I wouldn't change a thing, because of how huge that senior year was for me at Stillwater High School.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Let's do a little compare and contrast if you can.
All right.
Trying to get comfortable.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the sun over there.
Oh, I see. It's probably warmer there than it is here.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
what's the weather like there?
It should be about 50 or 60 out here,
It's
somewhere there.
29. It's 29 right now in Moses Lake.
That
Um,
sounds nice. It's
it's
sweating
pretty
my tail off.
it's cold. um, but compare and contrast. Obviously, Stillwater has a history of high
Mhm.
school wrestling,
Yeah,
and one of your teammates is a Smith boy, right?
yeah,
Was it one of your teammates, a high school teammate? Tell us a
yeah.
little bit about your senior year, having to make the transformation from being, 3-time champion, going to being the new guy in
Yeah.
Stillwater.
I when we were moving, I actually didn't know who all was on my team, who all was going to be on my team, and I thought it was just going to be me and Joe Smith, and that's Coach Smith's son. And I thought, well, that's a good drill partner. That'd be great. Well, it turns out there was a bunch of kids moving in, and we had Tristan. We have Tristan Moran, who is going to nationals for Wisconsin. He's on a team with Ryan Christensen, and we had Cade Brock, who wrestles for Oklahoma
Okay.
State,
Hmm.
and we had Jordan Daringer, and we
Oh,
had
wow.
Joe Smith and me, and I'm trying to think of who else was all on that team. There was a lot of studs on that team, so I was like, dang, we got a pretty sweet
Good.
team. And
That probably eased some of the pain of moving.
yeah, I was like, wow, I got kind of a cool team to move into.
Yeah.
And but I think the biggest part was my coach that I had there, and he's currently the head coach of Little Rock, Arkansas's
Oh,
D1 program,
yeah.
Neil Ersman. And what he did is he's like fresh out of college, like coming out, and he's just ready to go, ready to beat up on some high schoolers. And that's exactly what he did. He got us in shape, he got us ready, he got us tough. And I had never been coached to break somebody and to push somebody in a match so much so that the rest of your moves work a lot smoother. And because I mean, I had never in high school, I really never had the idea to go a long distance in my match. I want to try and pin them as quick as I can and be done, and just see how quick I could pin guys. And I had a coach, and Neil was like, I don't want you to pin this guy until you either have 14 points on the board, or if it's a third period, or if I tell you that this guy's a stud, and if you pin him, go pin him. And so those are like
So
the things that
all depended, yeah. It
yeah,
all depended on the situation.
yeah. And so I was like, what do you want me to do, coach? And before each match, and he'd let me know what he's like, I want you to go win this match. This guy's tough. Or he'd say, go out. I want you to work your takedowns. And so I had to kind of bring some more diversity to my wrestling. I had to learn a shot. I had to learn a single leg, how to finish a single leg, fake snaps. I had to learn how to ride on top, all these things, and how to get off bottom. And so I learned a lot of things that I needed to learn for college. And I went one of my best memories, or not my best memories, it's not my greatest memory, but it is a memory. It was we worked top bottom one day, and I was on bottom, and the guys that I was going with, they couldn't ride me. And it was because I was hitting a flip Granby and I would get out real quick, and they didn't even want to put the effort in to follow me. And so then Neil got the bright idea. He's like, here, let me get on top of you. And so Neil, he was known for riding legs and wrists and stuff like that. And so he puts the boots in on me, and I'm bellied out for a good 15 minutes. And the whole time he's got his hands like this. He's covering my mouth. He's covering my mouth, and he was telling me, if you don't get out, I'm going to pass you out. And it was just crazy because I was like, wow, this guy's intense. He's tough. And he goes, you think I'm intense? You just wait till you get into an actual D1 match and you have a guy trying to rip your head off. And so he kind of like he raised my level. He raised the intensity of my wrestling to work hard and make him tired so I can score, and so that my shots come easier, and then ultimately try and pin the guy. But it was a fun season.
That was a great year, and you guys won the team championship as well, right? How many champions did you have?
We had 6 state champions. I think it was our 103 pound or 106 pounder. Cade won, Joe won, I won, Tristan won, and there was another. I can't think of it anymore. Guys that won, but we had 6 champions. It was pretty awesome.
That's pretty good team. That's a pretty good team right there. So, logically, you moved from Washington to Stillwater to wrestle, and Coach Smith is like, okay, Jordan, we want you to follow Jordan's path. Chandler, you're gonna. Did you have anybody try and recruit you out from under OSU?
Jordan kind of made it clear to any college that recruited him that wherever, and I was set on it too, that wherever Jordan goes, I'm going. And so when Jordan committed to Oklahoma State, I really didn't get that many letters. There was a lot of colleges that just really didn't try to get me. And I know Iowa State and Lehigh and Oregon State, they all tried to recruit me, but I think but in the end, I was pretty set on Oklahoma State and going there with Jordan. But
And that would,
most of my letters came my junior year when I was still in Washington, and then once I moved to Stillwater, I wasn't getting letters anymore.
because I think their efforts, their time and effort is valuable, and so they probably saw the writing on the wall that you're going to be a Cowboy. And it only makes sense that they would say, you know what, we're going to put our efforts in somewhere else. Which, and obviously, I mean, you've been a Cowboy ever since. Anyway, let's your freshman year at Oklahoma State, you had a pretty good year. You qualified for nationals, but you also had some other things happen in your life.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So my redshirt freshman year, the year after I redshirted, I was at 174 because Alex Daring was at 65, and I was like, well, he can have that. He's a stud. I'm not going to really challenge that. Yeah. And so I thought maybe my best chance is to go for 74 and just get nice and big and try and go there. Well, I was back up to Kyle Crutchmer, and he's actually a UFC fighter now. It's super cool. But we're good buddies. But I was his backup, and the whole year, all I wanted to do was start. I just wanted to be a starter. I wanted to be a starter. I wanted to be a starter. And I would go to duels. Coach would take me along to duels. He would actually leave a spot open so that I could come. And he said, I might get you a match this summer. I might get you a match this weekend. I might get you a match this weekend. But I never wrestled. And so it was kind of a hard deal because I was like, man, I would get pumped up. Before each match, I would go make weight. I would eat my food. I would drink the right things, eat the right things right before the match, and then I would go warm up and everything. And then when it came time for 74, I was in my singlet, in my headgear, in a t-shirt only, bouncing around, ready to go. And Coach Smith would come up to the bench and he'd point to Kyle and he's like, "You're in," and that's it. And I would do that every single duel of the year. And so I'd warm up, and then as soon as Kyle would go wrestle, I'd watch him wrestle, and then I'd go do sprints to kind of get my workout in so that I'd stay in shape. And so then I'd come back and watch the match. Well, for some reason, the one duel that I decided to watch was the OU duel. And it was the second to last duel, or it was we had two more duels after that, or after the OU match. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to just warm up, and then I'm just going to watch this duel because it's OU. It's on a stage, and it's bedlam, and it's packed. So sure. I sat around, and I was like, all right, I'll watch. And so I'm sitting on the bench watching, and it's the craziest thing. Kyle Crutchmer's in a stance, and you know how like when you hit a jab fake and then you like guys will hop up and they'll bounce around and then they get back in their stance. Well, he hopped up to get back in his stance, and when he bounced on his foot, it completely shattered his foot. Like, craziest thing. Broke his foot in 3 places.
Broke his foot while warming up.
Like, he was in the match.
Oh.
And he hit a jab fake on the guy, and he stepped back to bounce around to get back in his stance. He's standing straight up, and he's bouncing on his foot, and he breaks his foot in 3 places, and he just drops to the ground, and he's done. And Coach Smith looks at me and he goes, "You better get ready." And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? I get my opportunity. Like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to have it this way. I mean, I want Kyle. Kyle's the better guy. He needs to go wrestle." Right. And so then I was in, just like that. I was in, and I'm like, man. And Kyle's in the practice room with the boot on, and I'm sitting there warming up, getting ready for practice, and just like out of curiosity, I asked Kyle. I'm like, "Hey, Kyle, do you know anything about this next guy like that I'm going to wrestle from North Carolina?" And he goes, "Well, you better get ready because he's the number 2 guy in the nation right now." And so I was like, crud. My first match in Gallagher, I'm going to get my butt kicked in front of everybody. And And then the whole week I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tap into that idea that Phil McLean put in my mind, and I don't care who it is out there. I'm gonna go wrestle him. I'm gonna throw a kitchen sink at him. And I go out in the match. It comes time to the match, and I'm bouncing around, getting ready. And one of the coaches comes up to me and goes, "All right, just go out and just keep it to a decision." And I looked at him. I was like, "Screw that! I'm gonna go beat this guy." And so I ran out there. And I bet the coaches are just sitting there like shaking their head. They're like, "Golly, Chandler's going out. He's gonna give everything, and he's gonna give too much and get pinned or something. He's gonna do something crazy and get pinned."
Right.
And I end up throwing the guy to his back in the first period and getting getting 2 takedown, 4 near fall, and then I put him to his back again in the second period, and I ended up beating the number 2 guy in the nation on my first home duel. It was the craziest thing I've ever done. It was awesome. And so at one point I was ranked 2nd in the country at 174 behind Bo Nickel. And so
and you
Bo
guys
Nickel,
would wrestle. I remember you guys wrestled at Fargo one year, didn't you?
no, we wrestled at junior duels, and we wrestled at junior duels in Akron. So we wrestled a couple times, but yeah. So I was behind Bo Nickel, and we went to, and so that was like one of the highlights of my career. It was incredible. I was just like, holy smokes,
yeah,
this is the high of all highs. This is sweet. And so then the next day I'm warming up with Jordan, and we're kind of going through the motions of wrestling. Like, I'm like, dude, you remember when I hit that throw? And I throw Jordan, and then he's like, that was sweet. Did you see that foot sweep you hit when you foot sweeped to his back? I was like, yeah, that was sweet too. And we're just kind of like having fun. It was kind of an off day. And it was a practice that went from 9 to 10:30, or 9 to 11. And so then I'm getting done with practice. I'm showering, and Jordan's gone, and I'm still showering. Coach Smith comes running downstairs, and he's like, "Hey, Chandler, is your brother still here?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think he's heading home on the moped." And he's like, "Can you give him a call?" And so I called Jordan. I was like, "Hey, Coach wants us back here." And I'm thinking, "Oh gosh, I probably got bad grading in some class, and Coach is going to yell at me for my grades or something." Like, I'm thinking something else, and I'm walking, and Jordan, and he's probably going to get Jordan here to get after me. And so then we're walking up to Coach's office, and I see one of my dad's good buddies, and I'm like, "What the heck are you doing here? You've never been in here before ever." And so then we're like walking upstairs, and we go up to the office, and my entire family and friends and my girlfriend, she was my girlfriend at the time, and her family was there. And everybody was there, and everybody but my dad. And my pastor was standing there, and he told me that, and he looks at Jordan, and he goes, "Jordan and Chandler, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your father's passed away." And it was like, it was one of those moments where it was just like, it was a punch in the gut, and I fell to the ground. I couldn't move. I thought I was paralyzed, and I just couldn't see straight. It was the worst news I had ever received. And you think that you could get through something, or like that you can't imagine what it would be like to lose somebody like that. And I mean, for those of you that don't know, my dad passed away. He committed suicide, and it was kind of hard to, and that, like, I was like, how did he pass away? Did he get killed in the car accident? Like, what happened? And he goes, "No, your father hung himself in his backyard." And I was just like, "You got to be kidding me. I can't. There's no way that happened. There's no way. Yeah. Is there any way we can get him back? Is there anything we can do?" And there's no, he passed away at 10 o'clock while you were at practice. And I was just like, it was just tough. And it was a hard day, and it was a hard weeks following. But in our next duel, and man, if my dad hadn't passed away, you would have thought I got the worst luck in the world, because our next duel was Penn State, and I had Bo Nickel next. So So my next two matches were the number 2 guy and then the number 1 guy. And so I really didn't get the best draw for getting thrown into the fire. But I ended up not going to Penn State and dueling them because it was days. We were leaving 4 days after my dad had passed away. And I
totally understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
and I think Coach Smith made a good choice to let you stay at home and be with your family.
Mm-hmm. And I just remember I remember for many nights it was I had a lot of nightmares and things like that, and it was just hard. And so when I was so terrified of having nightmares because I'd wake up from my nightmares and I'd be so exhausted from that night of sleep that I couldn't even do anything the whole day. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to just shake it off. I'm going to just stuff it down. I'm going to set it aside, and I'm not even going to think about it. I'm not even going to think about my dad. I don't even want to think about him. I don't want to know that. I don't even want to talk about him being gone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to go wrestle. That's it. I just want to go stuff it down. I want to finish my season, and then I'll think about it later. And which is, if anybody ever loses their father, do not do that. It is not a great idea. It doesn't work. And I did one practice. I tried to practice twice. In 2 days, I tried to practice each day. The first day, I made it. I made it as far as a mile away from Gallagher until I started breaking down because the thing I thought about was I wasn't going to get that phone call at 4:30 asking about how practice was. And then I was like, I got to go home. I got to go lay in bed for 12 hours. I can't deal with this. And so then I was like, I'll try it again tomorrow. And I went to practice tomorrow, and it was the next day, and Jordan and I just drilled together. And I jogged a couple laps, and I was out of breath because I'm just so emotionally exhausted. And then I take about 25 shots. I do 25 shots, and I could hardly stand up on the 25th shot. I'm just so exhausted and trained. And they're like, all right, we're going to start there. There's your first practice. You got 25 shots in. Now let's go get 26 tomorrow. And every day I just tried to do more and more of a workout. And what it forced me to do, what I forced myself to do. They didn't force me to do anything. This is all me trying to get through this. I just decided I'm not going to think about it anymore, and I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to get so numb to the idea where it's like nothing ever happened. And so I go to Big 12, and I get all the way to the finals, and at 174 pounds, and this guy who's just a mountain of a man, he beats me. I tried to go up a body with a guy who's 6'3", and a really lean 174 pounder, and he kicked the tar out of me, but that was okay. I mean, I really wasn't. I was pretty excited that I made it to nationals in the first place, and so then I go to nationals, and I win my first 2 matches. I ended up majoring one guy, and then the next guy I wrestled, he had majored me at the scuffle for 3rd and 4th, and I ended up tech pinning him in the match. It was pretty awesome. And so then I pinned him, and then I had Bo Nickel next. And then for anybody that knows who Bo Nickel is, you know what happens next. I get my butt kicked. And then I go to the blood round, or then the next round I win the next match, and then it's the blood round. And I have to win this match to be an All-American. If I lose this match, I'm out. And so I'm warming up for my match, and I see an athlete, and I see this guy. He had just beat the guy to be an All-American, and he runs up in the stands and he gives this man a hug, and in my mind's going, that's his dad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, gosh, now I'm thinking about it. And literally my whole body, I thought I'd already wrestled a wrestling match by the time I stepped out on the mat. And it's to take nothing against the guy that I wrestled. But I got beat in the match, and I ended up not being an All-American. And so then it was the end of the season, and I had told myself I'm going to stuff it all down until the end of the season. And man, when you stuff aside 4 weeks of grief and everything that you want to express emotionally, when you stuff it down and then you let it out after all that time, I mean, it wasn't pretty, and it wasn't fun. It was a dark time in my life, and I'm so thankful that I had the people that I had in my life that continued to realign my thoughts on God and His plan for us. But you know, that was probably the first time I ever doubted God and gotten angry with God. Because I mean, I never really complained about a whole lot as a kid, and so I really wasn't mad about anything really. But this really set me off, and I really didn't know how could something like this happen? I don't understand this. And so it was an interesting time.
Well, Chandler, we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on in your career,
Yeah.
after that, you end up being a two-time All-American for the Pokes.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit your focus and how um, you were able to overcome everything, and then be the man there at Oklahoma State, where you ended up being an All-American the next 2 years. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
You know, coming so close to being All-American that year, it really it's put me on a trajectory to go do some great things, because it was like I could almost see it. I almost had it in my hand. I had it right there, and I could have had it, and I missed my opportunity. And so I made it my goal that I'm not going to miss my opportunity this year. I'm going to go take it, and it's going to be mine. And so yeah, I just kind of went out and I trained twice as hard as I did the year before, and I did twice as many things that I needed to do to get to where I needed to be. And I went down to 165, and I hadn't been to 65 since my sophomore year in high school, and so.
High school.
And so I was really cutting some weight and trying to get down as low as I can, and but yeah, just putting in as much time as I could to work out and to go. I mean, the thing that I really liked the most was my night workouts. We would do morning lift, and then we would do practice at 3, and then I would kind of have to go work out at night to get my weight down. But and I realized, if you have the wrong mindset in your workouts, you won't get the most out of it, and you won't do as much. And when I was going to do those night workouts at first, I'm like, man, I got to lose like 10 pounds by tomorrow, and I got to make sure I got to think about my sweat. Am I sweating? Am I sweating? Am I sweating? And I just had terrible workouts. I would quit my workouts early. I'd run like a mile, and I'd be like, God, I'll just go do something else. Like, I don't want to. I'll go take a hot bath and hot bath it off or something like that. Just take easy ways out and take shortcuts. And then when and Jordan saw me doing this, and he's like, you know what, dude, you can't be doing that. Like, you got to be, like, if you're going to work out at night, you better do it to get better. Like, don't do it for your weight. Do it to get better. And so then I started working out at night to kind of give myself that edge. Like, you know what, I'm gonna go run 3 miles because at 10 o'clock at night, because I know my opponents are probably sleeping right now. They're probably icing their muscles from the workout they had today. And I did the same. I did a harder workout today, and I'm still out here working out. And so it kind of gave me that mental edge, like, hey, I'm doing more than my opponents are. And that's something that I learned from Coach Smith. Coach Smith would set an alarm for I think he set an alarm for like 2 o'clock in the morning. He would wake up and go run stadiums because he knew that that's when the Russians were awake. And so he's like, I'm gonna work out whenever the Russians, if the Russians are working out, then I'm gonna be working out. And so he just he he split the difference in time, and he's like, I'm waking up at 2 o'clock. I'm gonna go run stadiums and get my legs blown up. And so that's what he did. And I was like, I'm gonna just, I don't know about waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'll definitely wake up at 10. I'll be up at 10 o'clock running until about 11:30 doing a workout and just trying to get that mental edge. And so that was something that I did both my sophomore and junior year to try and get my mental edge. And I took 5th my sophomore year and 8th my junior year. So yeah.
So those are good stories. Now, was it after that you got married?
I got married, yes, in August this last summer.
Last summer.
So yeah.
Tell us about she's from Stillwater.
Yep. So we met in high school, and I was dating a girl from Edmond North, and we and all the guys on my team, they're like, you need to date this Tori Blesson. Like, you need to break up with this girl and date Tori Blesson. She is like perfect for you. And guys, they're real stubborn, and they don't really think about that. Like, you don't know what's best for me, I know what's best for me. And so I'm dating this girl, and I'm sitting there at practice, and this girl walks in to the practice room, and it was like out of a movie where the doors open, there's like wind blowing in, and she comes walking in, and she walks in, she's bringing her friend snow cones, and I looked at her, I was like, who the heck is that? And they're like, that's Tori Blesson. That's the girl we want you to date. And I was like, shoot, you guys never showed me a picture of her. And so then we still didn't date in high school. And I went to junior duels that summer. And this girl, and then Tori, well, actually, I got to tell the story because she'll hate me if I don't she'll hate me if I tell it, but I want to tell it because it's great. So okay. I actually really, I was like, all right, I'll give this girl a try. I'll see if I can date her. And so I invited her to youth group, and she came, and I was like, heck yeah, she came to youth group. And she didn't say a word to me the entire time. And so I was like, wow, she really didn't like me. I guess that's that. I explored that option. And so I was like, that's that. Well, turns out she was so nervous to talk to me, like so nervous around me that she couldn't even say a word to me. And I was like, when she told me that, I was like, you're lying. You're kidding. She's like, no, I'm dead serious. And when she tells the story, she tells the story about how when she first saw me wrestle in Stillwater, I went to the mat side and I took a knee and I prayed right before the match. And she said at that moment, she was like, I'm going to marry this guy. I don't care how he wrestles, cool. What happens, I'm going to marry him. And she said that she went home and told her whole family, I'm going to marry Chandler Rogers and all that stuff. And so she had a huge crush on me all year long, and I had no idea. And so then this summer, fast forward, where I'm at junior duels. She gets brave enough, and she sends me a text that says, hey, I'm going to the church to paint. Do you want to come paint? Do you want to come paint the church with me? Because there's like some event going on at the church. And I was like, oh, I'm at junior duels, and this girl's asking me to come paint. Yeah. So I'm in Oklahoma City. I'm not far. If I had my car, I would have totally driven. I would have done it. But I was in junior duels, and we had the national finals the next day. And so I was like, shoot, all right. Well, I can't go, but I'm like, let me call you right back. I end the phone, and I'm like jumping up and down. I'm like, no way, this girl's just texting me to come hang out, and this girl's the best. I call my other girlfriend. I say, hey, it was fun. We're good friends, but it's better if we're just friends. And then I call Tori back. I'm like, hey, when I get back, we're hanging out. So it was like I literally broke up with that girl the day Tori texted me. I broke up with that girl, and it was kind of like I was like, that's it. I'm with Tori Blesson, and we dated all throughout college. And she was there when my dad passed away. She actually flew to Fargo. She flew to Fargo to watch me wrestle in Fargo that year. And she had only known me for like a week, and she flew to Fargo to come watch me wrestle, which is pretty cool. But she's gone to all my wrestling events, everything that I go to, she's gone to it. And she's actually I'm going to the NCAA tournament in Pittsburgh, and she's getting a flight, and she's going to come with me, and she's
Oh,
just going to
cool.
come hang out. So it'll be cool.
Very cool.
But yeah,
That's
we
a
got
great.
married. We got married in August.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, next thing I want to talk about is your senior year. What?
Yeah.
Tell us. I mean, obviously, it culminates with a huge pin over Iowa,
Yeah.
and probably, hindsight 2020. That was a supreme event,
Yes.
experience in your wrestling career, and it ended up being your last Oklahoma State match that you wrestled. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that. Tell us a little about your senior year and then about the Iowa match.
It was a. I'm really thankful for this year. This year was probably one of my favorite seasons, and even with the ending and everything like that, I would say this is my favorite season. And there were some guys on our team that did a great job of making the team into a brotherhood, and what our goal was. Is it doesn't matter what happens, we're gonna wrestle for each other, and we're gonna be there for each other. And it really was like a brotherhood. I mean, we've got guys, Jacoby Smith, he's got a son, and we've got guys babysitting other guys so that they can go to class. We've got people babysitting Jacoby's kids so that
Oh,
Jacoby can go to class and go here and there, and like we're just a big family. And so this year, I mean, our team chemistry was just through the roof. It was great, and we still have so much fun. And honestly, this team made me really hopeful about the way that the way that my future will play out. I mean, I'm going to be friends with these guys for a long
oh
time
yeah.
because of the relationship I have. I mean, me and Jacoby Smith, we go back to my senior year, and me and Jacoby, we wrestled in high school. We wrestled each other at tournaments here in Oklahoma, and he was a stud. And I was like, there's no way this guy, please don't be in my weight class. Please. And if you look at the guy, he's shredded beyond all belief. And I was like, please don't be in my weight class. He is so ripped. And we ended up wrestling. And so it's cool though, cause we're all friends in the end. But yeah, this year I started the summer out, I started the season out weighing 197, about 197, and cut down to
Wow.
165. Yeah, I wrestled 165 a couple months later, and but yeah, got after it right off the bat and had a pretty good season. I don't know how many losses I had. I think I had 3 losses, but had quite a bit. Or I had 12 pins. Um,
And you don't see
a
that
couple.
that much in college. You don't see
Yeah,
double-digit pins for most guys, just because the cream rises and it's tough to pin a college guy.
yeah,
But
it really is.
it's amazing how tough it is, and you were
Hmm.
able to do it a lot. I want you to share with us the feeling you had there on the mat after you pinned your Iowa guy, and everybody in Gallagher was just focused on you, and
Hmm.
you guys had pretty much sealed the duel. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, it was senior night. You guys got honored, and then you get a pin, and you pin him with your
assassin.
patented assassin move. So you're pretty much on top of the world that night.
Oh yeah, it was a great feeling, going out and actually the night before I was working out. I got down to 165 the night before, and because I thought I was going to wrestle Alex Marinelli, and I was like, you know what, that's who I'm wrestling. And I had been training all week to wrestle Alex Marinelli because I'm like, I'm going to beat Alex Marinelli. That's the guy. Why wouldn't I wrestle Alex
Yeah,
Marinelli? He's 165.
sure.
And the night before, coach calls me. We're like, okay, look, Chandler, I know you've been training for Alex Marinelli all week long, but our best chance at winning this duel is if you go up to 74 and you pin this guy. And so then I was like, okay, what do I have to weigh? And he goes, you have to weigh 169 so that you can get back down to 165 for Big 12s. And so then I was like, oh, okay, so I'm weighing in lighter than this guy. This guy's cutting his tail off. They were telling me that this guy's cutting his tail off. You'll be able to pin this guy. He's going to be worn out. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I kind of cut my tail off too. But but they still thought I had the best chance at going up and pinning this guy. And so then I come in the next day, and I'm 169. I feel great, and I weigh in, and I get some food and water in me, and I'm warming up and everything, and I walk out on the mat, and I know what my job is. My job is to go pin this guy. I don't care what happened. I don't care what the score is. I don't care if he takes me down a couple times, but he's getting pinned, and I'm gonna throw everything I got at him to pin him. And so when I pinned him, it was like it was this moment where I was like, you know what? They called in Chandler to go pin this guy, and I did my job. Like, that was my job, was to go pin this guy, and I went and did it. And just the feeling, like, you know, there's nothing like it when you get over 13,000 people in one arena, and every one of them, but maybe a couple Iowa fans are cheering for you. And man, when I pinned him, my eardrums, I thought they were going to explode. The mat was vibrating, and my chest was just like pounding. And so then I give my celebration and all that stuff.
And you do your OSU. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was
yeah.
very cool. Very. That was very awesome. That was a great.
Yeah.
That's a favorite memory of mine of recent of your matches. That was really awesome. But
yeah,
you're probably bursting inside of the joy that was. Now,
oh yeah,
and I hate to break it to you, but the
yeah,
next couple days, just a few short days later, you get told that you have to do
a wrestle
challenge.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So and Coach told me at the beginning of the year, you can go 74 all season long if you want to. You can go 74 all season long and then go down to 65 at the end of the season. So I could have done exactly what Joe Smith did. And, you know, I was like, you know, I think it would be better for me to go down to 65 now and feel that weight out all season long, just to feel what it's like. And so that's why I did go 65 all season, is because I want to feel these guys that I'm wrestling. I want to feel my weight down at 65. So then when it comes time to the big show, I've made weight 20 something times. And you know, Coach Smith was like, you know, we're going to have a wrestle off because we need to figure out who's going to be the best guy at 65. And I was like, you know, if I'm the best guy, I'm the best guy. If I'm not, I'm not. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And when we wrestled, it was we had a 2-hour weigh-in, just like we would for the first day at Big 12s. And we got the same food. We got the same treatment. We weighed in. I watched him make weight. He watched me make weight to make sure that we made weight at 165. And when I made weight, we had 2 hours from then. We ate, and we got singlets, headgear, wrestling shoes, ankle bands, and Coach brought in some NCAA referees to ref the match. And we had 4 people doing the clock. So we had we had 2 people doing the actual time, and then one person doing my riding time and one person doing Joe's riding time. And we did it in our wrestling room, and it was completely fair. And we wrestled best 2 out of 3. We had an hour between each match, just like you would at the NCAAs. And that's how it was decided. And he beat me in 2 matches. And so that's kind of how that went. That's kind of how the whole process went. And Coach Smith wasn't even in the room. I mean, he left. He wasn't even there. And because he didn't want anything to be displayed as bias or anything. And
right.
So, yeah. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it went. And, you know, it's a big bummer, you know, especially like, seeing Joe wrestle some guys that I've wrestled, and I mean the guy that won Big 12s, I pinned him in the first period at Big 12s last year.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and the guy that he wrestled in the finals, I beat him in the finals at Big 12s last year. And so it's kind of like, man, that's something that I could have done. But you know, if we think that it's better that Joe's there, then I guess that's where we're at. But you know, it goes back to that brotherhood that we had, and that's why. And there's a lot of things that played into me going to Big 12s and putting my OSU shirt on and sitting there with the team and warming the team up and getting them ready
And
for the
helping a
tournament.
teammate get ready
Yeah.
for his matches. Tell us about your
Yes.
relationship with him.
With Preston
Yeah.
or Joe.
Oh no, with Preston, your
Preston,
the 90. Yeah.
97-pounder. Yeah, you
Yeah,
know.
that's who you've been helping.
Yeah, I've been helping everybody, man. If you sat at Big 12s and you watched the final and you were there about 20 or about 30 minutes before the finals, you would have thought my arms and legs were all over the mat, because I went and wrestled. I drilled with G Feller, with Caden G Feller. I wrestled with Jacoby. I wrestled with Derek White, and then I wrestled with Preston. I warmed them all up, and
That's
really,
awesome.
I've been there. My goal is to be there for everybody, and I set a goal that weekend to put my hands on every single guy that stepped out on the mat, whether it was a consolation match, whether it was the finals. I don't care who it is. If there's two guys wrestling at the same time, I'm going to sprint over here. I'm going to put my hands on him and say, let's go, and then sprint over here and grab him and say, let's go.
That's
And
awesome.
my goal was to put my hands on every single guy. But before the tournament, I sat there and I prayed, and I was like, God, just let these hands, let my hands let these guys know that I love them and I'm here for them. And that's all I want them to know. And so that whole tournament was about just trying to love others and love these guys. And me and Preston Weigel, we've got a good relationship. He was one of my groomsmen in my wedding, and I'm going to be one of his groomsmen in his wedding.
Ah, cool.
And so and we just we're the same age. We were on the same visit when we came and toured Oklahoma State. Me and him were in the same visit, and we walked around together, and we saw everything together, and we drilled together towards the beginning of our careers at Oklahoma State. But then that sucker got big, and I stayed where I was, and so he
And
so he was a little too big for me.
He's having a good year too. He's having a great year too.
He's having a great year, and man, I mean, I just want to be there for that guy, because I mean, he's had so many trials, and especially the trials that I've been through. I feel like he's been through some similar to that. I mean, he's lost seasons. He's lost almost 2 seasons now because of injuries.
Yeah, with injury. Yeah.
And even this year, he almost lost this year too. He tore his quad, and he's back out. And he tore his quad a couple months ago, and he's just wrestling through it. I mean, he's a tough dude, and we joke about it. We're like, Preston, can you please tell us everything that your parents fed you so we can feed the same stuff to our kids? Because all I know is my kids are going to be farming, throwing hay bales, and eating steak every day, is what he said. And so I want him to grow up and be as big as Preston.
He's a mountain of a man, that's for sure.
Yes. And so we've been really good friends ever since.
Cool.
So.
That's awesome too. So now you said you're going to graduate in May. What's your degree going to be in?
I'm going to get a degree in psychology. I'm going to graduate with a degree in psychology, and then I'm going to go. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm not sure yet where I'm going to go get my master's, but I'm going to go get my master's in sports psychology, or sports what's it called? Sports philosophy, and get like a coaching degree, and go coach somewhere and see what that's like. But for right now, I mean, I'm not really committed to anything right now, but definitely here at Oklahoma State, just training and seeing what I can do here. But people have been talking to me, and I've been just kind of hearing out everybody's offers and stuff like that. And so we'll see where it takes me.
That's awesome. Man, this has been so fun. I really, really appreciate this. I mean, this show is just starting on the bench with Big Jim, and you're one of the first guests. And this is one of my favorite memories so far of doing this. I've been doing the Facebook thing for a little over 2 years now, and this has been certainly an enjoyable uh, uh, time. So thank you
Yeah,
so much, Chandler.
absolutely.
I appreciate you. Just to let everybody know, Chandler is going to be our main clinician at the No Baloney camp
Oh
this
yeah.
summer for the Moses Lake Chiefs. So we're looking forward to having you here in Moses Lake and
Heck yeah.
getting to reminisce a little more. Hey, good luck to the Cowboys. Good luck to you. Um, say hello to your brother Jordan for me,
I will.
and give your mom and sister a hug. And we are cheering for you. Thank you. Appreciate this time, and you take care, buddy.
Yeah. You guys have a good time.
All right, man. We'll see you, Chandler. Have a good
See ya.
day.
Yep.
All righty. Wow. I'll tell you what, folks. I want to thank you all for being with me. That went a lot longer than I thought it would. I had planned a lot less time, but that just was going so wonderfully that I had to keep it going. And I'm so happy for that young man. He's gone through a lot. I appreciate you all making comments. That was awesome. That was a very awesome experience. Uh, and Now, on to my next guest. So, so I want to thank everybody. I mean, I'm so blessed to be able to do this, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was fun for me as well. Um, Chandler Rogers is a great kid, and I mean, he disappointed he disappointed so many of us Moses Lake kids back when he beat Nico, but you gotta love a kid like that overcomes overcomes so much. We're gonna move on because our day is getting to where it is. But our next guest is Mr. Mark Poth, who's Coach Poth has been coaching basketball for 100 years, and we have him here today. How you doing today, Coach?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Coach, the reason why I brought you on was because you're helping with the women's team out of Big Bend Community College, and there's so much going on out at Big Bend right now. I wanted to talk about that, but what I wanted to talk about is the young ladies out at Big Bend are in the semifinal game of the NWAC championships tomorrow, and that game's at 1 o'clock, and they play Umpqua. So, how's this week's preparation been? You guys leave today, here shortly, to head over to Everett to play in the Final Four.
Yeah, it's exciting. There's, going into this, Jim, sometimes in the tournament you get an upset in the first round, but the top 4 ranked teams have all made it to the Final Four. So you look at each of those teams that have their strengths, and they do some things very well. And it's really a well-balanced Final Four. It would not surprise me to see any of the 4 teams win that. We feel like we have a good chance if we go out there and execute and run our game plan. And we think we got a really good chance in this tournament, but it's going to be some extremely good competition for all 4 teams.
Now, does it say a lot that 2 of the top 4 are in the East region?
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me because I think overall when you look at women's basketball, traditionally the strength has come from the East and the South. And we have the 1 and 2 teams from the East and the 1 and 2 teams from the South. So not surprising at all. I wouldn't have been surprised if we would have snuck in another East team. I think in the first round, North Idaho and Umpqua was a very close game that could have gone either way down the stretch. So I think one advantage of playing in the East is every night you're playing a good opponent, and it gets you ready for tournament-type quality. It's not all of a sudden you're playing better teams than what you've been playing all year long. So I think that's been a really advantage for our young ladies to see good, stiff competition all the way through league play.
You've been working with the girls. You started working with them a little bit last year. What do you see the maturity that they developed last year? Well, the freshmen last year, has that carried over into this year? And can you compare last year's Final Four team with this year's Final Four team?
Yeah, they're a little bit different, but there's a lot of similarities. Pretty much the system that's being used with both programs, both teams, is pretty much the same. Preston's done a good job of preparing the ladies and getting them ready for tournament play. But you look at our starting lineup, we start Hannah in the 5 spot, and she's a freshman. We start Kayla up at the point guard. She's a freshman. Our 2 sophomores that have really come back and contributed as starters has been Leah and Miranda.
Yeah.
So, it's been a really well-mixed team. I mean, you look at Kelsey I thought she was deserving of being an all-league player. She's a freshman. So even though there's some experience coming back, especially with the sophomores. And the nice thing about this team, Jim, is the sophomores play an incredible role in the success of this team. Not only those that are on the floor all the time, but you have those that are a little bit behind the scenes that, don't play as much, might not read as much about them, but have really been the character of the team and provided great leadership and have made it so that the team is very close. They like each other, probably more accurately, they love each other, and they really have it's a real good family atmosphere, and they're a pleasure to associate with.
Those are awfully kind words and well deserved for these young ladies. Having the opportunity, my wife works out there at Big Bend, does the fitness class, and then I've been able to meet and get to know these women, so it's a great thing, and it's I'm glad that things are coming together. So this week's preparation has been good. Everybody healthy and ready to go tomorrow?
Yeah, fortunately, it's really been a pretty injury-free year. We've had a few bumps and bruises, but we're fortunate to, I think we're pretty much 100% going into the tournament. So we feel like we're physically, mentally, and emotionally ready to handle the situation. So I think we're going to have a great tournament.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, it's on to the next item is that Big Bend Community College has sent 11 wrestlers to the national tournament. First year program after having been brought back after several years. Your expectation, did they exceed your expectations?
They did, because we really put the program in kind of a tough situation and not announcing that we were going to add it till June. And at that point, we had to hire a coach. By the time really recruiting started, we're looking at, close to the end of June, beginning of July. And, at that point, you are way behind, the 8 ball, so to speak, and being able to recruit. Most players we contacted said, hey, I'd be interested, but I've already made arrangements to go to school here. And so it made it tough for us. We really had to hunt and beat the bushes quite a bit, to bring in. We brought in about 24 men wrestlers, and we started with about 7 women wrestlers.
Yeah.
But we've had great success, and we've had 2 of our wrestlers made it to the semifinals, and they just lost out this morning, so they're both in the consolation bracket. We were at about 12, I think, last night.
Yes, we had seven left in, and we were in 12th place as a team. And we had Eduardo Rodriguez was in the quarters, and Bo Wybie was in the quarters.
Right, and both of them, unfortunately, got beat in the quarters. And we're down to 3 wrestlers now. We have, obviously, the 2 you spoke of. Weebly and Rodriguez are both wrestling, and then Jacob Trask, who is working his way up the backside trying to place. So, hey, it's been a great first year. I think the thing you need to realize, Jim, with the association we're in, I'm looking at one of our wrestlers, and he wrestled a young man from Penn State, and all of our kids are true freshmen. I mean,
right.
These are kids that are out of high school, and there's a big difference between a 17, 18, 19-year-old wrestler and a 23, 24-year-old wrestler. So, it's remarkable of what they've done. Our women have 3 wrestlers in the tournament, and I noticed Maria Reyes, who placed as an All-American in freestyle, is into the semifinals on the women's bracket.
Sweet.
So. And the other 2 young ladies are lost their first matches, but they're trying to battle back and place at the tournament. So, this tournament's different for the ladies. It's the collegiate style, not freestyle, right. But it's still a great experience for them.
That's awesome. So, baseball and softball, a little late start with the weather. With snow still being out on the field, but they've had to go and play so far on the road. What do we expect from Big Bend baseball and softball this year?
You know what? I think both teams are going to be very, very good. Our men are in a situation now where they're practicing in the gym, hitting the soft hard balls, that you can use the floors in there. And then they leave that practice setting and go over to the west side, and I saw them last week over at Everett playing on a completely turf field inside, from infield and outfield. And a lot of our young men have some experience on turf, but you play Everett, it plays on that turf every day in practice and games. It just takes a while. You can't simulate in a gymnasium the practice setting that you need out on the playing field.
Right.
But we're hoping the warm weather coming in next week is going to melt the snow. We're hoping to get back on our fields in a couple of weeks. I think the only good news about it is it's not just Big Bend, it's the entire eastern region except for Treasure Valley down in Ontario. No one has a playable field at this point.
Yeah.
So I think the teams in the east are going to be a little bit behind, maybe some in the west, the south, and the north. But I think we're going to catch up as we make up games through league play. But it's definitely making adjustments in the schedule. We're going to be playing more games because making up the canceled games. But I think when it's all said and done, I think our team's got a great chance of making it out of East and into the playoffs.
Cool.
And I think once we can get some playing time under our belt on a field practice setting, I think our team's going to be a really good baseball team this year. And our softball team is – both teams, I think, are improved over
the softball team's 6-2 right now, so they have had a pretty good start to the year. And so I think we're going to see some good things from them.
Yeah, they're in the same situation, too. They're practicing in our gym. And, the nice thing about softball is we can get an infield in our gym with the bases, you know what I mean? And they can throw around at least the distance they're going to be throwing in a game for the infield. But still, it's a big disadvantage to have to practice in a gym and go play games on a regular softball field. But they've done exceptionally well under those circumstances.
Right. Well, it's looking good. I look forward to the spring. Hey, Coach Poth, when you heading over to Everett for the games tomorrow?
Actually, well, I'm going to be leaving just in about an hour and a half. So we're headed over there. We play the first round game of the tournament at 1 o'clock. After us will be the women's other semifinals between Wenatchee and Lane, and then the 5 and 7 o'clock games are the men Final Four.
Awesome. Well, Coach, we want to wish you all the best of luck, and folks can watch it on the NWAC website. Watch it live. So,
all right. Hey,
again,
appreciate you having me on, Jim. Good luck to you.
Hey, thank you very much. We'll see you, Coach. Take care. All righty, folks. That was Mark Poth, the AD, and he actually helps coach with Preston Wilkes, the basketball coach. So I want to thank everybody for being with me today and tuning in, and a lot of your comments. I'll go through them and see if I can't respond to them. I appreciate your time. It's been fun, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do this. We'll do it again on Monday. I hope you all have a great weekend. And if anybody's interested in helping sponsor this show, please contact me. It's easy to get a hold of me. My email, my contact number are in the main post. So if you're interested in doing some advertising or you want to help sponsor the show, please contact me. I appreciate you all. Thank you for being here today on the bench with Big Jim, and we'll do it again on Monday. Take care, everybody. I think I covered everything. You take care, and we'll see you next week.